Welcome everybody to the Short Sports Show. I am your host, Daniel Short. Today is Monday, November 17th, 2014, and I want to quickly apologize for not having an episode last week. I bought a brand new computer, thinking it was going to be, big, strong, powerful, ready to do all the work for me, having, better equipment, all this other good stuff. And Spreaker decided to have a little mishap or something. Anyways, you have to log in through Facebook only, and once I did that, it came up with something about Adobe. I didn't think my computer was fully set up anyway, so I was like, all right, I'll download it. Usually I don't fall in for these traps. I did this time, and I had got a virus on it, so I had to get it cleaned out, and then I just didn't even want it, so I got a brand new one. Won't be here till later this week, but no, I knew I still had to get the show going, and yeah, so there was all that. Now, this week, we're going to be talking about the college football playoff rankings, what they're going to look like coming tomorrow night. And sadly, it does not look like it will include my TCU Horned Frogs. Also, more Marshawn Lynch talk for the Seattle Seahawks, and not the good kind, even though his on-the-field playing has been excellent. Still, there's reports saying that, now he's going to be fined $100,000 for not talking to reporters the past 2 weeks, and just all different types of stuff, whether he's going to be around the Seahawks next season and what his career is going to look like after the 2014 season. So we'll talk about that. And how about the New England Patriots continue to roll down every team they play now? They're just on a winning streak. And how about Jonas Gray coming out of nowhere, 4 rushing touchdowns? Now, how many of you actually started him on your fantasy team? Quickly. Didn't think so. So that happened. So let's go ahead first and talk about some college football news. Then we will recap Week 12 of college football and then head on to the NFL. First, Michigan starting senior defensive end Frank Clark was arrested on charges of domestic violence Sunday. Head coach Brady Hoke said in a statement, quote, "We are aware of the report involving Frank Clark. I have not spoken with Frank, but will at appropriate time. We will respect the legal process and make any decisions once we have the facts." According to a police report, Clark's girlfriend told police he punched her in the face and knocked her to the ground in a hotel room. The girlfriend's brother, who was also in the hotel, said Clark grabbed her by the neck and slammed her to the ground. Apparently, there's several family members, including young children, were in the room at the same time during this incident. Whoa. And this is not his first time running into the law. I believe in 2012, he sold a Mac laptop, MacBook, whatever they're called these days. He stole one of those and was fined $1,700 and I believe suspended for a few games. Right now, this season, Clark does lead Michigan in tackles for loss with 13.5. He's second for sacks with 4.5 and tied for third in tackles with 42. So obviously having an excellent season right now, at least, by his position. But this is not helping his draft stock right now. As a senior, you would expect, all right, my team's not even going to make, any bowl game right now. Our season is very down. Let me just focus on my draft. This is where the time you kind of become selfish because you think, all right, I'm a senior. We don't have anything to really play for now. The season's all over with. Just stay focused at school. Continue to dominate on the field. Increase your stats. Improve your draft stock. And then support your family afterwards. Right now, he is not really doing that. with now multiple incidents. And, teams are now getting leery on these athletes that are getting in more trouble. They're starting to say, hey, I don't care about what you did in college, by what how talented you are. We will not draft you, especially early in the rounds, if you continue to have off the field problems. And this guy not really helping himself right now. So bad news for him. Michigan, they don't know if they'll suspend him, but probably, I would believe so, they would suspend him for at least a game with only 2 or 3 remaining left in the year. Notre Dame quarterback Everette Golson suffered a sprained AC joint in his right throwing shoulder during Saturday's 43-30 loss to Northwestern. Head coach Brian Kelly said Sunday I don't know. I haven't got the chance to talk about him yet. Talk to him yet. There were certainly a couple throws when he first did it where he put the ball on the ground. You could see that it affected him then. He said he was fine. After that, he obviously missed some throws, especially in overtime. But he said it didn't affect him. Everette Golson was 21 of 40 and 287 yards with 3 touchdowns and 1 interception, but also fumbling once as well. Kelly said both defensive linemen Sheldon Day and Daniel Cage suffered knee sprains Saturday and are both awaiting MRIs to determine the severity of the injuries. But back to Everette Golson. At first I really believed the Notre Dame Fighting Irish were a playoff team. They had everything going for them. Everette Golson looked like, he was the legit quarterback. I believed he was a Heisman, probably one of the Heisman, at least going to New York. Now it's looking like, that's not going to happen this season. I believe he's a junior, maybe a sophomore. He's a freshman. No, he missed a sophomore year, so now he is just a junior. So he still has next year, but he's a very, very talented quarterback for Notre Dame, and being able to do the things he does, it's really hurting him. It just seems like he's been out of focus the past few weeks after a few losses have hit. It seems like it just – I'm not saying he has an ego when I say this, but it seems like that once he lost to Florida State, and especially being rattled towards the end of this game against Northwestern, it really has just taken him down. He looks like a different quarterback than when he was on a winning streak. And now I'm not saying by the level of play, just how he is in the pocket, just the way he's reading. I was watching the game, and it just seemed like he was more, jittery. And I don't know if you guys have, if you've been watching him and seeing the same things I have, but he just doesn't look like the same Everette Golson who had that swagger, that confidence going into the year, especially after picking up those early wins and being undefeated, having a high ranking and all the, not hype, but just, again, just confidence that he had. Now it's looking like just rattled, basically. Just doesn't know what's going out there. Now, obviously, it could be because of this injury. He doesn't feel confident the throws he can usually make, and that could be what is making him just look bad. But hopefully that gets healed and Notre Dame gets back to her winning ways, because I like Notre Dame. I really do. Moving on, a team that won't have their player back from injury and just got him back recently is Georgia. Star running back Todd Gurley suffered a torn ACL in his left knee Saturday, the school announced yesterday. A surgery date has not been set, but Gurley did injured his knee in the Bulldogs' win 34-7 over Auburn on Saturday night. But before leaving, Gurley rushed for 138 yards and a touchdown, 29 carries, and I believe also had a kick return for a touchdown. He will finish the year with 911 rushing yards and 9 rushing touchdowns. Huge loss for Gurley. More for Gurley than it is Georgia. Now, Georgia fans, obviously you have no reason to panic. Now, yes, it's a huge loss in a way because you could see, obviously, what he's capable of. Returning that long kickoff for a touchdown, giving you momentum, especially over a big team. And then, he did have 100-plus rushing yards in his first game back. Being able to dominate the way he did on the ground. But you also have a stable running backs behind him that you probably didn't really hear of, more other than Nick Chubb. I believe he played some significant time last season. And so a lot of fans obviously heard his name. But other than that, you're seeing guys step up after Gurley was missing those first or the past 4 games before this. I think it's more of a loss for Gurley than it is for Georgia. I don't think Georgia is going to be affected in a lot of games. They know how to play without him, obviously. They know how to win without him. So if I was a Georgia Bulldog fan, I would not panic necessarily, and especially going towards the end of the SEC championship run towards the end of the year. But for Gurley, it's a huge loss. Now, whether he did sign those autographs and then get paid, yeah, he screwed himself, with the draft stock missing those 4 games. But obviously, teams don't really care if you sign those autographs because Manziel possibly didn't, missed a half. And, I really think Gurley got screwed over this. I believe since Manziel possibly, most likely he did sign those, only missed a half of 1 game. Gurley, on the other hand, missed 4 entire games. Not right. But you got to believe everything happens for a reason, right? Gurley, you missed 4 games. You learned from that lesson. You come back, you dominate. Then you tear an ACL, which obviously is not your fault. But got to believe everything happens for a reason. This will sadly drop his draft stock. I don't know if it really dropped between those 4 games that he missed. You could say, okay, well, he was having an excellent season before missing those games. He comes back. He does very well. Excellent, really. Did great. Gets hurt. Now how is he going to be? I would still say he's still, a second, third round draft, a late second round, early third round draft pick. I would still draft him. Especially, this is the time to get running backs. You're not going to have a lot, in a few seasons. This is the time. You got Amir Abdullah, kind of, suffered this week, but still have him. Obviously, Melvin Gordon, who we'll talk about in just a minute. Todd Gurley. There's probably some others I'm missing, but, you only got three main guys that are going to be pretty solid for you. If not, 2 of them are going to be great, in Gurley and Melvin Gordon. Amir Abdullah, I thought he was great, but he has, slacked off the past few weeks. I hope Gurley gets back healthy as fast as possible because we do want to see him. This is the last time they'll see him in a Georgia uniform, but this won't be the last time he puts on a football uniform. And I really hope it doesn't become a Marcus Lattimore situation because Gurley is just one heck of an athlete. It would be amazing to see what he can do in the NFL come next season sometime. Other good news, I believe, I like the Florida Gators, and that's Will Muschamp will not return as Florida's head coach next season, the school announced Sunday. Muschamp will coach the team's final 2 games of the season and then step down. Muschamp's buyout will work out to about $6.3 million. And this is what Will Muschamp had to say, saying, quote, "I was given every opportunity to get it done here, and I simply didn't win enough games. That is the bottom line. I'm disappointed that I didn't get it done, and it is my responsibility to get it done. I have no bitter feelings, but this is a business, and I wish we would have produced better results on the field." In just 4 seasons, Will Muschamp was 27-20 and 17-15 in SEC play. Obviously, not getting it done, as he said multiple times in that statement. I'm happy. I am happy. I did not like Will Muschamp mainly because he came from the Texas Longhorns. And I like the Florida Gators. If I lived in Florida, that'd be the school I go to. Yes, over Florida State and Miami. Just mainly as a Tim Tebow fan and just, right when I got into football, that was that time period and seeing how they were dominating. Yeah, so that was the whole point. I like Florida since then. And when Will Muschamp went there, obviously you could tell just wasn't the right fit. And it's going to be exciting to see who they're going to be looking for. I really hope, my biggest fear is that at the end of this year, my TCU Frogs are going to pull what the San Diego Chargers did and have one, if hopefully not both of the offensive coordinators go on and get head coaching jobs. They're going to be highly looked at. And I could see, Doug Meacham or Sonny Cumbie getting multiple head coaching offers. It pains me to say this. And turning, I don't know how you could turn down a head coaching job at Florida. I don't care what shape they're in. I mean, that is one heck of a job to have. And it would just really suck if that happened. But I could see one of them possibly leaving. And this is, I believe, the first big school that's going to have an opening. And a lot of teams are going to want to make a statement there. A lot of coaches are going to want to make a statement at that school. Lastly, Clemson quarterback Deshaun Watson has a sprained LCL and a bone bruise, the school announced yesterday, but the freshman quarterback could return to action for the season finale against South Carolina in 2 weeks. Also, offensive guard Dave Beasley, who also suffered a knee injury against Georgia Tech, was diagnosed with a patella